It's Major Label Debut, the podcast about major label debuts. My name is Graham Wright, and the remit of Major Label Debut has broadened week by week, which brings me to, the major label debut of the Catholic Cardinal is, of course, when they ascend to the papacy. We're not really here to talk about the Pope. I have this vision of all of our people who signed up to listen to us talk to, 1990s rock and rollers scratching their heads and then turning the podcast off. We're here today, in fact, to tell you about an even more exciting initiative from MLD Productions. And John Paul, thank you for indulging my papal riffing. I'll throw to you to tell the people what our white smoke, what message it carries.
We are going to do a movie club. It's called Major Label Debut Music Movie Club, where we're going to watch a bunch of great old and new music movies, documentaries, really anything, and talk about them, and hopefully use this as a way to engage with you, get your opinions and feedback about what you like, what you don't like, and what's funny and what's not funny, and what's interesting, what's not interesting, and maybe sexy even. I think that's a nice way of thinking of it. And the very first movie we're going to watch is Oliver Stone's 1991 classic, The Doors, starring Val Kilmer, rest in peace.
A movie that I saw for the first time in your apartment when Tokyo Police Club was in Los Angeles recording our last record, TPC. We came over to your place to watch the Oscars, and I didn't know this as an East Coast guy, but it turns out in LA, the Oscars are over at the sun is still out. And so you got other stuff to do that night. And so we didn't want to stop hanging out. We decided to watch The Doors, which, when you're in the middle of making a record, which can be a process that gets pretty self-serious, pretty uptight, you start to, you kind of have to sniff your own bullshit a bit when you're making a record because you're swimming around in it. Watching a movie like The Doors at that moment for me was really helpful in sort of, it's such a serious movie about such a serious band. And both Jim Morrison and Val Kilmer's performance as Jim Morrison are so self-serious that I just found it really skewered something that needed to be skewered for me in the moment. And I'm really excited to watch the movie again and get a little more into how it sort of mythologizes a band that was pretty self-mythologizing when they were making music.
No doubt. And I do think that it is a movie that more people should see. It is deeply complicated, and there's a lot going on there. So I think it's perfect fodder for this first time out, and a perfect way to sort of engage with everybody who's been supporting the podcast and listening and commenting so far. It's we're trying to figure out what we want to do here. We could just record a podcast and stick it up online, or we could do some kind of live stream or do a comment live kind of Twitch setup through YouTube. Please comment here in the comments of this video or on the podcast platform that you're listening to it, and tell us what you would like. If you'd like it to for us to do Facebook Live or some technology that I'm unfamiliar with, I want to learn, and I just want to talk to you about Oliver Stone and The Doors for as long as you can stomach it.
Major Label Debut, I feel like one of the implicit threads that we're always pulling at is the way that narrative can start to be, it can start to shape a band's career. Like the story you tell, or that is told by your publicist or your major label or whoever, or by your fans, that tail can start to wag the dog in the way that, the perceived story of a band is such an important part of a band's, the way that people experience it. And so I'm really excited to talk about movies, both documentaries and fictional movies and biopics, et cetera, because they're sort of these coalescing moments of those stories. And we can really look at a story being told in real time and see the decisions that are made and what that says about the perception of the music. And especially nowadays with the documentaries and biopics that are being heavily controlled by the artists themselves or their estates, the way that it's now being used is yet another facet in like the reputation building industrial complex. I just think there's so much to talk about. And I'm really excited to dig into it.
Let's experiment and have fun and watch some movies together, some of which I think will be awful probably, but I'm into that. One thing I found was my VHS copy of The Year Punk Broke, ironically also from 1991, the year of the Doors movie. So I desperately want to rewatch this, and it's full of like Nirvana and Sonic Youth and Gumball and the Ramones, and so that kind of thing. Please just suggest stuff. If there's a movie you've never seen before and you want to have a reason to watch it and then talk with the two of us, or just do it. We're here for you, and I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So look out for the MLD MMC, which also is like a Roman numeral copyright on a Hollywood movie at this point. We haven't set a date for it yet, but we'll write that in the description when we figure it out, or we'll announce it
in mid-June, right?
Yeah.
I think around there. Yeah, we'll stick up notices all over social media. And thank you for listening to this announcement.
Yes, thank you for listening to this announcement. Congratulations to the new Pope. I'm Graham Wright. John Paul Bullock, thanks for being here. I can't wait to watch The Doors and more movies with you and all of you, the listeners.
Yeah, and thanks to Greg Alsop for his incredible theme song, and the genius producer Josh Hook, who makes us look and sound great. We tried to shame him into doing this with us, and he refused. So thank you for that, Josh. We're coming for you.
Thanks for listening to Major Label Debut. We will return with more tales, news, and film analysis from the intersection of art and commerce.
Bye.
Bye.